Welcome to the Taproxy Method, creating confident learners. The Taproxy Method uses a unique combination of breath work, brain-body work, gratitude, and a clay-based program to affect the neuroplasticity of the brain in students, to help strengthen their mind-body connection, help them develop a growth mindset, and most importantly, trust and confidence in themselves. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. One way to support the Creating Confident Learners podcast is to leave a 5-star review and written review anywhere you listen to it. Thanks so much, and let's get started. Whatever practice we choose will snowball over time, whether it's consciously seeking out glimmers, very similar to the gratitude practice that I teach, whether it's consistent meditation or consistent breath work or consistent practice in yoga or exercise. With anything we do consistently, it will build up over time. Be sure to sign up for the foundation course. This course is here to support you, both parents and educators. It teaches the exact foundational tools I have used with students to increase focus, ease anxiety, and help raise confidence and self-esteem so that they can succeed in all areas of their lives, including academics. It's made into bite-sized digestible pieces to help you apply these tools right away. So this week I was thinking about how the human psyche is such a funny thing. It's almost a trickster. So everything or so much can be going right in our world, our personal lives, and then one negative thing will happen or we'll make one mistake and our mind tends to fixate on that one thing instead of the hundreds of things that are going well. And they do say that our subconscious is trying to protect us from making that mistake or bad things happening, but what it does to our internal state and the stress that it causes is definitely not worth it. So I've actually been taught to say, okay, thank you for that, but I'm going to go redirect my focus to, the positives that are happening. That's actually why I teach so much gratitude. But also beyond the gratitude, breath itself can change how you're thinking. But I think it's funny how so much can be going right and one thing goes wrong in our day. And that's where our brain tends to focus on unless we have other skills to mitigate that. So let's practice right now with 1 minute on the clock. I'm going to put 60 seconds here and we're just going to do an even breath. So we're going to count inhale for 4 and exhale for 4. You can also lengthen that 5 and 5, 6 and 6, but we're just going to go for a minute and see how that feels after a minute. Let's inhale. And then just exhale evenly. So I'm going to count to 4. So that was just a minute of even breath, but I tend to teach the 3, 4, 5 breath or the nose breathing breath, but I'm just noticing just from 60 seconds how it switches the quality of thought, the breath, the body. There's just a little bit more ease. And again, the reason I teach gratitude is it switches the attention, the focus, the presence immediately so that we can see the good more readily, so that one bad thing, that one negative thing, that one mistake doesn't take so much power over the hundreds of things that are going well. So again, oftentimes we kind of go to catastrophic thinking. Sometimes our brain goes there, or we kind of just have expectation that things will go our way. So, driving to work, it's actually quite a miracle that nothing happened, we got there on time and so forth, that we just expect it so much that our brain doesn't pick up on all the little good things that are happening below that. But what I'm really excited about and what I've been kind of seeing that is in response to kind of these triggers or negative things that kind of spiral us out, like one thing versus the 100 good things, is this other idea of glimmers. And it's becoming kind of in the psychology world. This has been a term that's now starting to pop up, which I'm really happy. So glimmers, a faint sign of a feeling or quality, especially a desirable one. It's a new term which is defined as the opposite of a trigger. So glimmers are the moments in your day that make you feel joy, happiness, peace, or gratitude. What's really cool is once you train your brain to be on the lookout for glimmers, these tiny moments will appear more and more. It's almost like our consciousness, it starts to pop out and we start to see them. It's almost where you train the brain-body connection to be more comfortable in this positive glimmer state rather than the negativity. And according to the polyvagal theory in therapy, glimmers are cues that the body can go into a feeling of safety and connection. And we can change the brain and what it perceives with this active practice. It's very much like finding glimmers is very, very parallel, almost the same thing I would say as finding gratitude throughout the day. But it's also, I think it goes a little deeper in like those little moments where you find joy and peace and happiness. It could be an internal state or an external state, but really what happens is when we practice this over time, it's more readily accessible to our brain and body. So why is this important? So we can actually change what the brain and body perceive, and it's less likely to be thrown into a negative spiral loop when that's something that is negative or perceived as negative happens. I love this story of an old man, and hopefully I'm not butchering this story too much, but what happens is I think he got like hit by a car and ends up in the hospital, and everybody goes, "Oh my gosh, how unlucky. Oh my gosh, you're in the hospital. I'm so sorry this happened to you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, it is what it is." And then a couple of days later, as he's in the hospital, his house ends up getting in a mudslide and, sliding down the cliff. And the same people come back to the hospital. They're like, "Oh my gosh, how lucky. You're in the hospital. You could have been in the house and something could have happened adversely there." And so that same thing that was originally negative, oh, you got in an accident, you were put in the hospital, ended up being, "Oh my gosh, thank God you were in the hospital. Something worse could have happened, and you may have been in your house with a mudslide." So which is it? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? It all depends on the story that we create around something. And again, this man in the story is like, "Yeah, it is what it is, whatever, I'm here." And, life unfolds as it's supposed to. And so really when we can find moments of joy and presence and gratitude in our own lives, we're building that muscle. And, even those quote unquote negative things, we think it's negative in that moment, but it may or may not be. And so I often come back to this idea of success in school is linked to confidence and the internal state of a child and what they're perceiving. So just think of that word glimmer. It's almost like sparkle or glittery, right? We want kids to have an internal state that is full of glimmer, that's glittery, that's full of hope, and not so much one that is negative or heavy. I know when a kid gets frustrated easily about anything, that there's an underlying dialogue that's going on underneath the surface in their internal self-talk, or when they give up easily when school gets hard or life gets hard. So again, we want our kids to have an internal state that is at ease. We want their nervous system to be at ease so that they can take on a healthy amount of challenge and stress and academics and life and really thrive. But also when you look at younger kids or elementary kids and hopefully the middle schoolers and high schoolers, to be a kid, to be a child is to be light and lighthearted, and we want to cultivate that as much as possible. And really this active practice of gratitude and active practice of basking in the glimmers that come in life, we really want to help cultivate that so that they can bring that into life a little bit further. But also we as adults benefit from when kids are full of light and sunshine in human form. They tend to make us more positive as well. So that's a glimmer to be looking at. And glimmers and noticing glimmers is a powerful practice that adds up over time. So anything that we do over time consistently will eventually become a part of us, a part of our personality, a part of who we are. And so becoming a glimmer seeker will change your brain, will change your child's brain, and that will overflow into what you notice in life. The brain-body connection is quite remarkable, and what we perceive tends to persist. And so if we can perceive more glimmers in daily life, that usually will help open our eyes to even more of them. And I mean, I talk a lot about this. I'm all about consistency over and over again. Whatever practice we choose will snowball over time, whether it's consciously seeking out glimmers, very similar to the gratitude practice that I teach, whether it's consistent meditation or consistent breath work or consistent practice in yoga or exercise. With anything we do consistently, it will build up over time. So it's so important that the practices that we do, that we choose one that's positive. I was thinking about like my house. I ended up cleaning my house this morning quite deeply, and my house overall tends to stay clean with the consistent practice of putting things in their place, wiping down things consistently, deep cleaning at least once a month. But I don't have, when I sat down to clean today, or not sat down, when I went to clean today, it wasn't this big arduous task because there were other things in place that kept it, pretty in line. So I think about that too with consistency, and knowledge growth is brought by the consistency of tutoring weekly or working on some academic concept weekly, and the natural building of the skill and knowledge every week over and over with high expectations. But sometimes just showing up over and over, creating a space, a time specifically carved out for a child's success, having the positive interactions, noticing the glimmers together, practicing noticing glimmers and gratitude allows for happy, more capable children, and that's really what we want. Be sure to sign up for the foundation course. This course is here to support you. It teaches the exact foundational tools I have used with students to ease anxiety and help raise confidence and self-esteem so that they can succeed in all areas of their lives, including academics. It's available as a one-time purchase or as an ongoing monthly subscription with extra group support and monthly live stream. Be sure to sign up for the newsletter to stay in contact. Keep up with the Creating Confident Learners community on Instagram and Facebook at Creating Confident Learners. Have a blessed day and aloha.